Awesome.
All right, so we are joined from Chicago by the one and only Shymane Robinson, the founder of True Lawyer, attorney there in the Windy City, specializing in small business legal needs. We've got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson High School. It is our entrepreneurship class, and we are recording this for our friends at Ridgeland High School and Madison Central High School, Germantown High School, and our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited, looking forward to speaking with all of you.
Thanks. Now, before we get into to what all True Lawyer does, tell us a little bit about your background. I actually don't know a lot about you. I know you're based in Chicago, and you're one of the youngest attorneys in the city, and you recently made news as being the first or the youngest Black attorney to open an office on Chicago's South Side.
Yes, which was amazing. So a little bit more about myself. Um, I'm born and raised in Chicago, so I am a Chicago baby. I love Chicago. I really have just always been on a goal of making sure that I accomplish my goal and being able to focus on building some level of generational wealth for my family, even during high school. So I had the honor of my very last 2 years of high school, which would have been my junior and senior year. I was able to attend college as well and complete my freshman and sophomore year of college simultaneously. So when I graduated with my high school diploma, and then the very next week, graduated with my college degree, associate's degree.
Wow.
So that was amazing to be able to do, and it kind of allowed me to speed up my educational process a little bit there. From there, I went on to get a bachelor's and then ultimately law school and opening my practice, which focused on entrepreneurship. So it's been wonderful. I have two babies, which I love. My husband, I love him as well. And one interesting fact for you guys, I know you're in Mississippi. It's really dear to me. My husband, entire family, my in-laws is from Mississippi. So
Wow.
I'm sure you guys are probably friends with them as well. So it's a pleasure to be here.
That's awesome. Now, you talk about your law firm focuses on entrepreneurship, and I think when people think law firm and attorneys, they automatically think the stuff you see on TV. But that's such a small, minuscule part of actual law practice. There is so much more that goes into it than the courtroom dramas. There is, so much paperwork and so many contracts and things and licenses that have to be taken care of for a business to not only to open but to continue to exist.
Absolutely. What you see on TV is about 10%, I would say. That's the sexy, that's the fun part. We all love it. But the most important part of being a lawyer happens before you get to the courtroom. The courtroom means that we were not able to reach a settlement, which is the last thing that you want to do. So, in terms of my law firm, we work with entrepreneurs every single day, helping you to protect your business from the inception of that business. And that's doing the not so sexy things. Okay. So making sure that you're forming your business correctly. But most importantly, we make sure that you can gain ownership of your business and be able to leverage it to build that generational wealth through trademarks and copyrights.
Yeah, now that's a perfect segue. So, one thing that you really strive for is to really help some of these new businesses in the Chicago area to, maybe they don't know about the things they need to set up because they may have a great idea, they may have a great product, a great concept, and a great way to sell it with a great personality, but a lot of times they lose money because they don't have the trademarks and the copyrights and those things set up. So talk a little bit about, what it is you do in that regard, because it is just such a big part of entrepreneurship.
Yes, it's what we do is we're helping small business owners, startups, as I refer to them as, to really be able to gain ownership of their brand. Many small business owners do not know the way to own your brand officially with the United States is with a trademark. Okay. So when you are starting a business, they do the sexy stuff. Everyone knows start an LLC, but an LLC is more about entity formation, protection, liability protection. Okay. Whereas your trademarks and your copyrights is about who owns the intellectual property. And when we started talking about wealth building, there's two ways to build wealth. Well, there's many ways to build wealth, but the most popular ways is through business ownership and real estate ownership. So how do you own your business? You own your business by making sure that you secure your intellectual property. And that's exactly what we're doing with our small business clients. Many of them, they have no idea. They have seen something online, and or to make matters worse, their brand have been stolen from them, or they've been issued some type of cease and desist letter, and now they come to us in a panic to help them out. So it's our job to really be able to, one, make sure that they are not infringing on anyone else across the United States, because you cannot just use a brand. You have to make sure that that brand is available for you to use. But then two, we're making sure that they can gain ownership of that brand, and then doing some counseling around how to leverage that brand to scale and grow.
Wow. Now what gave you the idea to start True Lawyer? Because you don't see a lot of it, but it's, obviously you saw a huge need there in a major city, and obviously it's worked for you. So where did the idea come from?
Yeah, so one of the things that really made me start True Lawyer, when I graduated from law school, I did have offers from some of the biggest law firms in the country in terms of to do an interview with them. I didn't accept those interviews, to be honest. And the reason why, I wanted to focus on helping that population that could not afford to go to big law. Anytime when you work for big law, you're working with Pepsi, you're working with Coca-Cola, you're working with Walmart. Those big entities, they can afford to pay top dollars for lawyers, but they also already know the importance of brand ownership and how to leverage it, which is why they have been able to become as successful as they are today through leveraging their intellectual property. Whereas small business owners, I realize that if you look at the stats, there are many businesses that open every single year. There's no shortage of businesses that's opening. However, there's many businesses that are closing down by year 5. And the reason for that is we are not opening businesses in a way to ensure that we have intellectual property. We have ways to increase the value in the business, and we can scale those businesses. So once I realized that they just simply don't know. Okay. And I wanted to be the person that come back to the community, come back to that startup community, and provide them the legal services that they need, the things that they need to build successful companies, but may not know and or may not be able to afford to retain an attorney at a big law firm. And I know if I went to work for a big law firm, I wouldn't get the opportunity to work with the smaller companies.
Yeah. Now, and that's a good point too, because one thing that we also talk about is, you know, you mentioned that people don't take care of the paperwork on the legal side, but also you said you want to be affordable to the small companies. But how do you also stay profitable while still staying affordable? Because a big mistake, and I'm sure you see this a lot, a
Yes.
big mistake that I see is that these people these young people especially want to open a business, and they're focused so much on being the cheapest that they don't price themselves in order to make a profit. So obviously that's a challenge for you. So what have you done in order to stay affordable, but yet still be profitable?
That is a great question. I'm so glad you asked that question because it is a challenge. However, what I told everyone, you cannot build a business off being the cheapest. So for us, our model is not to be the cheapest, right? The cheapest, you may want to start looking at doing it yourself or LegalZoom, things of that nature. But what we are affordable. Big Law is charging anywhere from $400 to $800 to $1,000 per hour.
Wow.
We understand that small business owners cannot afford 400, 500, to $1,000 per hour. So we focus on having a flat rate. So that way it's predictable. They can save their money over a course of time. We also accept credit cards if, they needed to use that. And different buy now, pay later methods is available as well. But we have flat rates. So our rates is $2,000, that one flat rate. We don't charge additional for phone calls, emails, all of those things that Big Law does charge you additional money for. We have streamlined our processes where we can help you, but it's certainly not for free. And I would recommend any small business or entrepreneur, you have to be profitable or you need to be a nonprofit, right? That's just the reality. You can't go both. So in legal, there's three levels of law. You have Big Law, and then you have pro bono. Pro bono is for the companies that have nothing, right? You probably need free. And then big law is for the big companies. But what about the gap in the middle? So we are servicing that gap in the middle where you can afford at a minimal that $2,000 range, right? And it may be you paid, $500 over 4 months to get there, and we may work with you, but it's not free. So when they're pricing their services, one of the things that we teach them in the beginning, and I counsel clients about a lot, is speak with an accountant. That is very important. Not only your attorney, speak with an accountant as well, because numbers don't lie on paper. When you do the numbers on paper, you will know whether or not at your price point, this is a profitable business, and if it makes sense to do this business, or if you need to make some changes.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, because you see a lot of business owners rush into things. But what are some steps that you tell these clients of yours to take before they just swing open the doors? Because there has to be some things that are in place, and it varies on the state, it varies on the industry, on the licensing requirements. But but take us through kind of your process when you're helping somebody set up a business that they want to open.
Yes, absolutely. So our clients come to us either one, it's too late and they've already opened and now we need to address what's going wrong. Or the other more appropriate way is before they have even started, it's just an idea. And at this point, they need legal counsel. That's very few because they don't know what they don't know, unfortunately. So we are, as lawyers, we put out the fires, okay? But if you came to me and you was the lucky one, which will be all of you, because now I'm telling you, you should be coming to your lawyer and your accountant before you start your business. So that way we can help instruct you. What I would instruct you to do is it's not sexy, but I will recommend you to do a business plan. It does not have to be 50 pages, 100 pages, 500 pages, anything crazy, but you at least need to outline what does marketing look like, right? What is your ideal client? What's the market base for this? Read. Once you start doing those, work with an accountant on the number side. I had a business idea prior. I wanted to open. It's in a sexy industry. I quickly knew when I spoke to the accountant, oops, this isn't the business, and I let it go. You want to be able to make those decisions before you invest a lot of money into it. So I recommend utilizing resources like the Small Business Administration. They have a variety of different courses, SCORE as well. They have a variety of different webinars you can watch to learn about business first. You don't have to be a pro. You do not have to be an expert, but we need to start looking at the numbers to make sure that that business idea makes sense first. Okay. Once you do that, the next thing before you ever start, we want to make sure the name that you're intending to open your business with is available before you do the sexy stuff like marketing. I have so many clients, hundreds of clients that have came to me, and unfortunately it was too late for them. They have spent money on photo shoots. They have spent money on marketing and building their social media accounts. And unfortunately, they were actually infringing on someone else's brand, which
Wow.
means that money goes to waste because now I have to counsel you to rebrand and spend money over. So I recommend coming to me first to do a trademark search, making sure your name is available. Okay. All of your big brands that you love, Beyonce and Coca-Cola, Pepsi, those brands are filing an intent to use before they ever get started to protect their intellectual property. Believe it or not, theft happens all the time in the intellectual property realm. So if you have an invention, you have a name of a clothing company that you intend to launch, do the search first. You want to make sure it's available. If it's not, no worries, as you have not already invested a lot of money into it at this time. It's easier to make the changes before you launch. That
Absolutely.
would be my recommendation.
Yeah, and that also, and we've watched a little bit of the movie The Founder, where they talk about the history of McDonald's. That happened with McDonald's with Ray Kroc. He
Yes.
he took the McDonald's name from the McDonald's brothers, and the people that started McDonald's didn't even get any of the profits off of it.
None. And you have McDonald's, you have Burger King, the same story. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Burger King. The franchise that you see today is not the original Burger King. The original Burger King is in Illinois, downstate. It's still there, but they did not protect their intellectual property. So now, you have this other company that's called Burger King. We all love them. We go to them, we visit them, but no one know that essentially they stole the name from a smaller company that could not defend themselves.
Wow. Now, and I got a few questions from the students, but before we get to those, you are only licensed in this, and I could be wrong. You're only licensed in the state of Illinois, correct?
I'm licensed in the state of Illinois. However, trademark law and copyright is federal. So I have clients across the world. As close as Chicago, Mississippi, Atlanta. I have a client in Barbados. So if you are starting a brand, I can assist you with your trademark and copyright matters.
Wow. So yeah, and again, and it's like you said, you so many of these young people, they get so caught up in having the cool logo and the cool idea, and they're putting it all over Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok, and that's cool. But if you haven't done the paperwork first, you could be costing yourself thousands and thousands of dollars and then not even be able to open.
That is so true. Please listen, because we have to build awareness around this. We want to make sure that you are avoiding the disappointment. Trademark litigation is expensive, and I mean anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000. You won't be able to afford it. You can avoid this by spending the $2,000 to protect your brand before launching, right? So when you're starting off and you're small, you don't have the capital to get it wrong. If Amazon gets it wrong, they pay out a settlement and they keep going. If you get it wrong, it affects your livelihood moving forward. So you really want to avoid that happening to you.
Wow. But I do have some questions from the students. These are all seniors, and they've
Okay.
all they've all had all created their own business concepts for the class. The first one is Octavia Johnson, and she asked, "What should an entrepreneur know before they choose a name of their business so they won't be in copyright infringement?"
Yes. So the things that you have to know is that many names are already used. So when you're first choosing your name, it's okay to select a variety of different names, but then you have to run a search, okay? If you want to do a quick Google search, that's a quick way of doing it. That's not official. Eventually, you need to get to myself or any other attorney to assist you with a formal search. But you could do a Google search. If you see a company with the name is already in use, right? If you wanted to start Amazon, you cannot do that. You should also be aware there's a website called uspto.gov. You can do a direct search there. Of course, you're not going to be as intensive as I would, but if you get a direct hit when you do the search on USPTO.gov, you probably want to stay away. Now, there's some caveats to names. So I don't want you to be scared if you see someone with a name, because the thing about names, you get trademark protection using your brand name in the industry that you're using it in. And what that means, unless it's a famous mark, okay? So Pepsi, Amazon, stay away. They're famous. You cannot use their names at all, okay? They will sue you, and they do.
Yeah.
Disney, don't use their name. They will sue you. But when it comes to other names, think about Dove soap, Dove chocolate. Both of them can have the same name because they're in two separate industries.
Yeah.
But if you do a USPTO.gov direct hit for Dove and you wanted to come out with soap, don't proceed. The name is gone. It doesn't matter if you change the E to a backwards 3. It doesn't matter. It's the same name. So trademark protects you for anything that is alike, similar, or could cause confusion. So when you're looking at these names, come out with a variety, but please do not become so attached that when you see someone else using it, you continue without seeking legal advice on that matter.
Well, yeah, and then and some of the companies you can now not even have a company that sounds like them. If you look at their copyright, like one I always thought was funny is Arby's. their copyright protects any restaurant that even sounds like Arby's. So I can't open a restaurant and call it Darby's. So it,
That's
yeah,
part of trademark protection as well, because it's it causes confusion, right? You know, if you are having Arby's and then it's like Rari, like it could be different, but if it's where the people will be confused, it really becomes a problem because you're using your brand. When you go into Arby's, you're expecting to receive a certain level of product. If someone else is having something that's similar that's not even related to you, but you mistaken their restaurant believing it's Arby, when you go to file a lawsuit, you may make a mistake and sue Arby. And that's really what they're trying to avoid from happening.
wow. Here's a good one. This is Miles Woodard, and he asked, "What is the main thing your clients overlook when they are starting their business?"
Yes, the main thing they overlook is retaining legal and an accountant. Many people are doing flashy, they want to go viral, they want to be popular online. I have a saying that I use that says paid, not popular. Okay. You want to make sure that you are paid, not popular. We're in a time where social media is important, but I have clients that have hundreds of thousands of followers that don't have money. So make sure you are paid, not popular. And the only way to do that is to make sure that you are seeking legal counsel, financial counsels, mentorship in your area, in the industry that you're in, to make sure that you know what you're doing. If not, you can be very popular but not successful or paid.
Yeah, and the other thing, like you having the legal counsel, there are companies that specialize in doing accounting services for small businesses, where you would not
Yes.
have to hire someone full time, but there are companies all over the country that will do your accounting remotely, and you would not
Yes.
have to worry about having to do it on your own. But that is not something that you can overlook. You know, everybody wants to do the fun stuff, but the legal and the accounting, like you said, is just so important to every business.
And don't shy away from it. You know, there's a level, you guys are in high school, so you're probably at the level where you may not have a lot of resources right now. There are pro bono clinics, right? And maybe a wait list. You may have to wait, but go to some of these pro bono clinics. I do a giveaway here at True Lawyer every October. So follow us on social media on our Instagram, True Lawyer underscore. You will find more information about that. There are ways where if you absolutely cannot afford it, but you're trying to get to the next level, start saving and or reach out to some of the pro bono assistants for help as well.
Awesome. Here's a good one. This is Shania Charleston, and she asked, "What was your main inspiration to become an attorney?"
Yeah, so my main inspiration, it started, I had to be about 8 or 9 years old. I had a cousin, unfortunately, he had a criminal law case, and I sat through his proceeding at about 8 to 10. I was somewhere between that age. I didn't really realize what an attorney was, but I saw the case and I said, whatever they do, I want to do that. That looks fun. And from that moment on, I watched every judge show, Judge Matthews, Judge everything. And I always said that I wanted to be an attorney. And it really came from an unfortunate situation where I had to sit through my cousin's case. And once I got to law school, I realized, oh, I didn't want to do criminal law. That's what they were actually doing. I wanted to, focus on an area of law that would allow me to, one, be able to help others build generational wealth, but myself as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and again, you know, even if you haven't seen something, it doesn't mean you can't be the first of something.
Yeah.
I always say you can just because you're the first doesn't mean you can't be the best as well. Uh,
Yes.
I just got one more from the students. This is Justin Clerk, and he asked, "How do you deal with a client that you know has a bad business idea?"
Okay, so as a lawyer, my position is not to critique whether your idea is bad or not, because bad is subjective. There's a lot of ideas out here that you may think is bad, but there's a market to sell that product. So if you're working with someone and their name is not available, I will counsel you on, hey, you're infringing on someone else's right. This name is not available, okay? Or that copyright, you cannot copyright this. Someone else already have it. You may get sued, things of that nature. I will provide you advice about that. But a bad business idea, we will have to really, go into depth of what made it bad. if you go on YouTube, and this is a funny story, I swear to God, I'm not telling a story. I saw a young lady, she was selling like moose something. It was like moose pebbles or something crazy, manure or something really crazy. And I was like, who's buying this? But guess what? They're buying it. So every idea, what may be bad to you, there's a market if you know how to market it and sell it.
Wow.
Now, in terms of the financials, if his question is based on the financials or why I stopped one of the business ideas I had, it was based on the numbers. So when you meet with an accountant, they could do the numbers and do projections. If you bring in this amount of clients over the next 3 years, you hire these amount of staff, you do this type of marketing, this is what your bottom line revenue will be. And when I saw the revenue, I said, holy crap, that's not the industry I want to be in, because I would need to do a lot more than the capacity that I have in order to make it successful. So because that idea doesn't work for me, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work for another company. They may have more resources than me or more knowledge in that industry than me. So I wouldn't say your idea is bad unless you say your idea is bad based on the facts of the reports.
Well, yeah, I think that's a good point because again, you have to look at, if they may have a good idea, but if they're going to go broke doing it, there's no point in pursuing that.
Yes.
Because obviously you want to follow your passion and you want to help the community, but if you're not going to be profitable, there's no point in any of it.
Yes. And oh, this is really important. If you guys don't remember anything else, I really think we have to focus on what your teacher is saying, because there's many businesses that are not profitable. And entrepreneurship is have become a trend right now.
Yeah.
It is hard, it is a lot of work, but you can do it. And many people will be successful if you take the proper steps, meaning, you're filing your entity, that's your LLC, your corporation, you're getting your trademarks, you're speaking with an accountant, you're making sure that you're marketing your company. If you don't market your company, it just simply won't grow, it won't be successful. But you're pricing your products at a price that you can become profitable. You cannot have a business and give it away for free. That's a nonprofit. You cannot do that. And nonprofits do not give their services away for free. They get grants to provide and pay them and then give services away for free. So please make sure you price accordingly.
Yeah, and it's such an easy trap to fall into because we've had some young people come out of this class and start with, and a lot of them were just part-time entrepreneurs, but they were being entrepreneurs, and I would immediately tell them, look, you're not charging enough.
Yes.
For the amount of time you're putting into this, there's no way you're charging enough. And the joke is always, yeah, you may price yourself out of a market, but you can price yourself right into the next one.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah.
You will know if your prices are too low. And if you do not know, you have to do competitor research. Go around and start doing competitor research. So you may look at Walmart and say, well, Walmart, their model is to sell cheap products, but they have to sell millions of them. Do you have capacity to sell millions of products? And you may not start in small. Okay. So it's not to say have a t-shirt. No one wants to buy a t-shirt for $5,000. Well, someone will, but not a lot of people. So please don't make your t-shirt $5,000 unless you have an audience for it. But you certainly cannot have your t-shirt for $2. You have to sell way too many to be profitable for that.
Yeah. And I don't know any distributor that's going to sell you one for $2 anyway. So that'd be a loss before you even open the door.
Absolutely.
Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us today. But before we go, I read about you in a national magazine. So you've made national headlines with the name you're making for yourself up there, being so young, but being able to really make a mark in an industry that desperately needed a woman and desperately needed diversity. And you have tapped into something that has helped so many people. So, we have young people here with us now, and they may have the idea that they can't do something similar, but you are living proof that it can be done. So what can these kids do now to follow in the footsteps of someone like you that is just making headlines all over the country?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much for those words. One advice that I will leave with you, or something that you can do, you want to focus on one thing. And when I say focus on one thing, that one thing is on who you want to become. It does not matter how many times you have to start over. It does not matter who does not believe in you. I get more no's than I get yes. Believe in yourself, know who you want to become, and never give up. I don't care if you launch 5 business ideas, the 6th idea may work. Never give up until you become who you want to be. And you can do anything that you want to do. If you want to email me, please do. Um, I'm available. I come to Atlanta. I have, my in-laws in Atlanta. Many of you may know them, the Boatman and Bates family, but I'm not there frequently. But feel free to email me, reach out to me on social media. If there's any encouraging words I can provide to you, I absolutely will. But just please focus on who you want to become. Never lose sight on it and work on it until you become that person.
Incredible. I love it. Well, again, Shymane Robinson, right there in Chicago, Illinois. Thank you so much for taking some time for us today. True Lawyer. Find them online. They're doing some great stuff up there in the Windy City.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you and your whole class as well. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
See ya.